Today is technically what I was thinking would be my Friday episode. But I realized every time I do this, I realize we're just going to let every episode stand on its own. Everything will be its own little lesson. So today, this is an opportunity for me to kind of get to know you a little more. I'm hoping that once we work together more, that it'll be like a community and we can have like a live Q&A where I'll coach you and potentially answer questions that you have about how to implement this work into your real life. Because not everybody's an actor, and I get that. And not everybody understands what rehearsal room feels like. How do you create that in your everyday life and with your family, right? Of course, because you have other people. So I'm happy to answer those questions. So for now, while we're building that, these are questions that I've gotten through emails, from clients, from people who I've worked with in the past. I've taught theater to, stage combat to, people who've just been trying to like create an up level for themselves, and they were stuck or had a bottleneck. And so I've helped them work through something or else, right? I mean, I've done so many, there's a lot, but questions that I most recently had an opportunity to answer. Okay. So I did them in a form of a letter. So this is what I got. Dear Bryn, I replay conversations constantly. By the end of the day, I've convinced myself someone is upset with me and I sounded stupid, or I should have said something differently. Oops. How do I stop making up stories that probably aren't even true? Yes, that's a really good question. So one of the biggest shifts I've ever made is the discerning between facts and the stories that I have about the fact, right? Realizing that facts and stories are completely different things. So the fact might be they didn't text me back. That's it. The sitting and waiting in the non-information is where the discomfort kicks in for us. So we usually start to try to create the stories for ourselves, tell ourselves stories about the other people or thing. So everything after that is usually a story, right? They're mad at me. They must be. Anytime they say they must be, that's us putting conjecture, right? I annoyed them. They don't respect me. Or, oh yeah, they moved on. They don't care. They don't care. They certainly I don't mean anything to them for them to not text me back. How dare they? I mean, they'd rather make up an answer than make the page blank. Like we don't like, our brains do not like no information and an unfinished story. So we'll start to create the house on Mulberry Street. Or what is it? Like that Dr. Seuss book. By the end of it, oh my God, they hate me, everything. It must have been because of this. Our brain is still looking for evidence to prove that they must not, all of that. So that's really useful when we're trying to survive, right? Because we're creating patterns. We're looking for, okay, don't do that, don't do this, or stay away from this, stay away from that. It's not that useful when we're trying to build relationships. So something I ask myself now is, what do I actually know versus what is the story I'm about to put on it? What I actually know usually is nothing. So I usually just have to sit there in curiosity, right? And the space gives curiosity like a chance to show up. So if instead of going right directly to, if you just give it space, you can create magical little stories. Well, they must have met a zebra on the way. And you can create magical stories for yourself that end up making you go ha 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 at yourself and giggling. And then it's all fun. And when they get home, you're like, hello, did you meet a zebra on this street? And he must have forced you to, it can be fun and joyous. It doesn't have to be like, well, you must have done this and then therefore you hate me and now I'm defensive when you get home, right? So let me just write them in two different columns. If you have to, just create a list of, separate your facts from your interpretations. Just separate that from that. Anywhere in your life, you just pick a decade, right? Separate facts, try to think of memories, separate your facts from your interpretations of the facts and see where you've kind of maybe overlapped them. Your brain will thank you. Okay, I hope that answers that. I'm trying to go quicker with these letters. Dear Bryn, I have 5 business ideas, 3 notebooks, 100 tabs open. Every idea sounds exciting until another idea comes along. How do I choose one story without worrying that I'm choosing the wrong one? God, I just smiled because welcome to my brain, right? Here's something directing taught me. So a rehearsal only works if everybody is in the same play. I mean, that's the idea of you have to, that's the container, right? Imagine showing up to rehearsal for Hamlet and half the cast is doing Shakespeare and then the other half is doing Wicked. And then the musicians are rehearsing Hamilton. Super cool. Nobody's wrong. Nobody's together. Nothing is working. Ideas work the same way. Groups work the same way, right? Rehearsal is expensive. Ideas are cheap. Rehearsals are expensive. Time is expensive. Attention is expensive. The only way to find out whether an idea has legs is to stay with it long enough to collect evidence, which is expensive. So that's where calendars become powerful, because you're not married to the idea forever. You can commit to rehearsing it. Maybe that's 30 days. What's your time frame? Maybe it's 90 days. Maybe it's 10 days. Like, what do you need to see if that evidence lines up? Give the idea a real chance, though, to teach you something. Because the goal isn't choosing the perfect story, right? It's staying in one story long enough to become a better storyteller, right? It's about staying consistent enough to learn what's in through the kintsugi cracks. Where's the gold that's running through the veins that's holding it all together? What's the spine? Okay. Letter 3. Dear Bryn E., I say yes to almost everything because I don't want to disappoint people. By the end of the week, I don't have enough energy left for the things I actually care about. How do I change that without feeling selfish? Well, I have an issue with selfish because I think women also especially have been taught modesty is a virtue to a degree that we downplay ourselves on purpose. I think this is one of the most common stories we tell ourselves. I mean, we confuse being available with being generous all the time. Those aren't the same thing. Think about theater for a second. Every production has a script. Scenes begin, scenes end, actors enter, actors leave. If every actor stayed on stage for the entire play, the story would become impossible to follow. Life needs entrances. It needs exits. Every yes is an entrance. And every no creates space for another scene to happen. So when you say yes to everything, you accidentally cast yourself into every single scene. Eventually you forget which story you're even trying to tell. I mean, you're like, walking over his. One question has helped me more than almost everything else. I mean, if I said yes to this, what am I automatically saying no to? Because the second you say yes to something, you're saying no to everything else. So what am I automatically saying no to? Because that lines up with, if you just go with the flow and let somebody else direct your life, and then you end up where you don't want to end up, you can't really blame anybody else. You're the one that's in control of that, because you're the one that's saying no to taking responsibility of your own leadership, like your own life. So what am I automatically saying no to? Sometimes I'm automatically saying no to sleep. It means I'm saying no to a workout or no to my family. If I say yes to that, sometimes I'm saying no to myself, and it doesn't make yes bad. It just makes me need to understand that yes is expensive. Right? Once you understand the cost of that yes, you start spending it more intentionally. I hope that helps. Okay, so closing. 3 different questions, 1 pattern. That's what I saw, right? Your brain is always creating stories. Some stories help you build. Some stories quietly build your limitations. Are you constantly arguing for your limitations? I want to go do this, but I can't because of this. Oh, no, I can't. And every time somebody offers you a solution, you're like, well, because I know I can't because of this, and because of these and that. And how much time have you thought about all the reasons you can't, and all, so we just got to collect new evidence. That's the key. The beautiful part is that we can change our stories quietly. we can just start to rewrite them by doing one small change, not pretending, not faking it. We're just trying a new thing and collecting evidence. Does that feel right? Starting to drag our nervous system behind with us sometimes a little bit. You know, one of the things I want to talk about really quickly is the idea of time. 3 time frames. So one time frame is it's impossible. It's impossible. I'll never do that because of these reasons. That's impossible. Doesn't even fit into the scope of my concept of life. It's impossible. Versus it's conditional. Well, if all of these tiny little amazing magical things were in place at the right time in the right way, then I could move that thing down from impossible. But I don't believe it could be great. And then the last one is inevitable. Oh yeah, it's happening tomorrow. Oh yeah, duh. Yeah, all those things did happen. They're totally in place. No problem. I had something fell through and everything just boom, bop, bop, boop, 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 boop. And it's like tomorrow. It's like no way. So if we can just move just down where things equal absolutely not, no way, impossible. The stories I've told myself for so long do not even let me fathom the scope of that project. Or, I mean, if I had a genie in a bottle of a helper that could answer my wishes, and my wishes would be, if you could just move anything that you think is unfathomable down to conditional in your mind, in your brain, if you could have one condition that could make it potentially, then I think you could start looking at anything as if the right circumstances were in order, it could be possible. Now, going back to what we've done this week, thank you so much. It's a good week. I got all my episodes out. I want to get you ready for next week. So the next episode we're going to be talking about, I think has to do with intention. Intention versus attention is very different, right? But they have a lot in common. But they're different, especially in relationships. So I think next week's topic is going to be wrapped around intention. Another thing that actors are really good at, they learned a lot, but maybe potentially never actually learned how to train that into their own lives. So let's say thank yous. Thank you to the story. Story is a container, big idea. Your thoughts are yours to change. And it's as easy as changing the container from impossible to conditional to inevitable. And when we step up into that next level, that's what that inevitable is. So thank you so much for your guys' words, and I will see you next time.